Good morning, everybody. Pam here with your Monday morning motivation. I am so excited to be here today, like I am every Monday, because I love hanging out and talking with you guys with everything motivation, especially on a Monday morning, because let's face it, the bulk of the population do not like Monday mornings. So that's why I am here. Just take a quick sip of my coffee here. Cheers. Ooh, a little bit too much creamer in that one. I am super excited because, well, this is technically the busiest week usually of our year. Our local Stampede. And everybody's like, oh, the Calgary Stampede's on. Well, so is ours coming this weekend. So this weekend is our Stampede up here in Northern Alberta. And yeah, prep has been going on for a while now, but most of my involvement doesn't involve like being down at the grounds and like physically doing too much work. I do a lot of stuff on the website and the app and just kind of doing a lot of technical background social media stuff. So yeah, so excited for our Stampede, 103rd Stampede this year. So this is my first Stampede that I'm not secretary in I spent the last 6 years being secretary. So this year I get to actually hopefully get to go and enjoy it with my kids a little bit. I have a couple of tasks that I am doing this year. Things that I'm responsible for, but other than that, it's kind of a free time for me, which is exciting. So anyway, this past weekend, we're talking about comfort zones. We talk about comfort zones, and today I want to talk to you about the 7 ways to break out of your comfort zone, because I broke out of my comfort zone huge on Saturday. I don't know if you've followed my posts about going to this 5K foam run in Leduc, Alberta, but man alive, was it ever crazy. But crazy in a good way. It's something that if you had asked me, like, well, not before I had kids, because before I had kids, I was fairly active. There was times that I used to do the Relay for Life for cancer research. I used to do that. I did those quite a few years. I like to do stuff for fundraising. And I haven't done one in a while. I usually do the Huntington's ride out here. But that's riding my horse. I mean, it is physical, but it's not like me actually being physical. It's me riding my horse and she's being physical. So it's a bit different to do it yourself, but I am so grateful that my friend was like, you should do this with me. You should do this with me. You should do this with me. And finally, because she did it last year, and finally in January, I'm like, fine, I'll do it. Like, let's make this a goal, a health and fitness goal, that I'm going to do this 5K foam run, and let's just do this. But this is in January, so it's like right after Christmas, right after New Year's, and you know how gung-ho you are about your health after New Year's, right? So I was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this run. I'm on it. Well, June shows up. June shows up. I'm like, okay, well, I'm working out on my elliptical. I'm doing like 30 minutes a day for most days. I miss the odd day, or I have a break the odd day kind of thing. So the last few weeks I've been ramping up my workouts. I was doing like 45 minutes. And then this last week I did 60 minutes. And it's not like I'm just pounding away on the elliptical. I'm doing sprints. I'm like doing 2.5 minute sprints. I'm like, and then rest for a little while, and then do a sprint and rest for a while, like for the whole hour. And that did not prepare me I don't say it didn't prepare me, but it did not prepare me to the capacity that I thought it did for this foam run. Because for one, I'm inside. For two, it's an elliptical. It's not running. It's not the impact that you have on the joints. Like, as I'm overweight, so the impact on my joints using elliptical versus running, 2 different things, right? So I definitely experienced a little bit of joint pain like the later that day. I had, like my knees and my ankles a little bit, but I took some of my supplement and it was gone within probably 12 hours, which was pretty sweet. But this run, it's not just a run. You don't just run. There's obstacles, okay? So I don't know how tall any of this stuff was because I didn't have a measuring tape, but it seems taller when you don't have a measuring tape. There's stuff that you have to, like, logs that you have to like roll over, and they're like at least waist height for me, and I'm 5'6". So I was doing these log rolls and I'm like straddling this giant log thing. I'm like, somebody help me. So my sister, my friend would pull me over, and I go over there's like 3, 4 or 5 in a row that you had to go over, and there's like foam in between, so you can't see anything. My glasses are covered in foam. I'm like, I can't see. So they grab my hands, pull me over. There's these slip and slide slides. They're not too crazy. They're like on a slight incline, so you like have to take a run and start and then jump and like slide into this big pool. Mud crawls, like going underneath stuff, and you have to like crawl through the mud, and there's like all these different, I'm sure you could Google 5K Foam Fest. They have them all over the country, and there's different obstacles for different places, but there was a couple obstacles that scared the living, and I'm going to swear right now, so earmuffs, scared the living shit out of me. And I am not kidding you, because for one, I don't do heights. Like, if you see, our ceiling is super, super high. I didn't go up there when we were building this house. There's no way. But even like in our loft area up top, before it was fully built, there's like boards spanning between the logs. So there's a board and a log, and you're like jumping from board to board, and that scared me. But after a while, you get used to it, right? There was one thing that I came off of, and I shook, like literally, like shook. I showed the guy that was taking pictures, because there was a guy underneath this thing taking pictures of people like climbing and like ascending and descending this thing, and he's like, "Wow, like you're shaking pretty good." And I'm like, "Is it obvious?" But it's this tent, and it's not a crazy incline, like, you know, it's pretty good, but you're climbing. So it's this tent, and it's like built out of pipe, like big pipe tube, and so it's thick. You know what the structurally sound when you're climbing up, and it's like you got a grid of ropes, like all these squares, grid ropes, and you climb up, and I'm like, this isn't a big deal. So I'm climbing up, and then I'm like, you get to the top. Now what? You got to climb over the top and go back down the other side. Climbing up and climbing down wasn't a big deal. Climbing up to get to the top, and it wasn't even like looking down was a huge deal. It's like I got one leg over, like, so I'm straddling this tent looking thing. It's like tent, and then the ropes, like grid ropes on the either side. I'm straddling this thing, and my friend's coming up behind me, and I'm like, I don't know how to get my other leg over. How do I get my other leg over? And she's just like, you just swing it over. And this other lady's like, well, just keep your body close to the frame, and then kind of scoot your leg over. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, and I climb down, and I'm just like, I'm just shaking. And I shook for probably almost until the next obstacle, but I was just like, oh my God, that was so crazy. And looking up at this thing, like I walked up to it, you know, there's, depending on how many people are in your wave, like how many people go at a time, there's a bit of a lineup sometimes to go through an obstacle. And I'm standing there's a person in front of me, and I'm like, this isn't so bad. I could do this. This isn't bad. I could do this. Our house is taller than this. This isn't a big deal. Okay, I could do this. Yeah, I could do this. So I'm like, climb up, and then that's when it just freaked me right out. And then that's when I got so scared. But I did it. And that's the biggest thing. The second one that scared the living shit out of me was, it's like a death drop water slide, or something, like the drop of doom water slide. You climb up, it's like a bouncy castle. You climb up this bouncy castle, and it's like super, super high. And I wasn't even paying attention to where I was going. I was just like focused on the next step, because they're just like, rungs that stick out like this far from the bouncy castle. So you have to put your foot on it sideways as you're climbing up. So I'm like climbing up, and I'm focusing on that, focusing not slipping because I have my friend right behind me again. So I'm like climbing up, and then I get to the top. I'm like, oh, we're at the top. Cool. So I like crawl over, and I crawled because there's you crawl up, and then there's two slides side by side. So I crawl up, and I go to the far end because I know my friend's behind me. So I go to the far end, and I go to sit down, and I look down, and it's like straight down, right in front of me. And I'm like, no, that's not happening. No. She's like, come on, you got this. I'm like, nope. I don't know how far this is down, but it looks pretty far. And you drop for like the first, I don't know how many feet. And you're just like, and the guy up at the top, he's like, take off your glasses and hold them in your hand. I'm like, what? You want me to take off my glasses and hold them in my hand? He's like, yeah, otherwise they'll fly off and you won't be able to find them. I'm like, nope, not doing this. Can I go back down the way I came? He's like, no, just, you're fine. Just go. And I'm like, okay. So I take off my glasses and I'm holding my, he's like, and then cross your arms over your chest. I'm like, what? He's like, it's kind of narrow through there. So just like, make sure you're not flailing around. Cross your arms to your chest. I'm like, okay. And then my friend's like, so I'm going to hear you scream the whole way down, right? I'm like, probably. Yeah. I'm going to die. Ah. So I have my glasses in my hand, have my arms crossed over my chest, and I'm like, okay, go. And I just go. And I think I held my breath the entire way down because by the time I got to the bottom, I'm like so out of breath because I felt like I couldn't breathe. But holy man, was that ever scary. But I did it. And with all the obstacles, there was lots of stuff you had to climb over, stuff you had to go under. There was these lily pad things. They're like really, really long pads, wide pads that sit on top of the water. They had two strapped together, so bam, and then they were bungee corded to poles on either side. So they couldn't move around too much. They moved, but they couldn't move around too much. So you had to, and they were sitting on about a foot and a half, 2 feet of water, and you had to run across. Well, I got about halfway across and I fell. I didn't fall into the water. I just fell onto the pad. And I'm like, ah! So trying to get up onto the pad because you're like fall and then it makes it sink. And yeah, anyway, so that run pushed me right the hell out of my comfort zone. And it was a lot of fun. I'm still a little sore. My quads are a little sore. I felt a little bit tension in here, like my lats and my triceps and stuff, just because of like the climbing. But I'm just, most of these obstacles I walk up to, I'm like, really? You want me to do that? And then my friends are like, yeah, you got this. Let's do this. And I'm like, okay, well, I give it a try and see what happens. And for the most part, I did really well. Like there are a couple things that I'm like, okay, like when I fell on the lily pads or, a couple of things, and I'm just like, you just get up and keep going, right? So, and there was one time that I fell, like those big log looking things, and I came through on the other side and I fell just because I couldn't see anything and I didn't know where the ground was. But my sister kind of helped me get up and we were good to go. And it pushed me so far out of my comfort zone. And leading into this, like the last few weeks, I've been feeling like comfort zone. Like I don't even know if I have a comfort zone, right? I'm like, I do so much already. Like I do things that other people would think are very uncomfortable on a regular basis. Like this go live, I do every week for you guys. So I could talk to you guys and hopefully you can relate to what I'm saying, and hopefully I'm providing you guys value, because that's what I like to do. I like to come on here and provide value. And what I'm also doing is I'm taking these replays. So I do these live on Facebook, and then I'll take the replay and put it on my YouTube channel. And I'm kind of reusing the content. I'm going to be putting it on my website, and it'll be like as replays on my website, so people can go back into my archives without having to filter through all the stuff on my Facebook page and go through and see like what I talked about when and stuff like that. So that is my goal with these, is kind of creating, it's not like a vlog, but it is. It's like a video blog, but it is. I don't know. Anyway, so that's my intention with these. It's not just to provide value once for you guys, but you can go back and look at them if you're feeling like you need some sort of motivation in some sort of area of your life. Then let's handle it. And I'm also very much up to suggestions. If you have like, okay, well, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with finding motivation. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with finding passion or whatever. Whatever you'd like me to talk about, I'm up for. So if you guys want something completely off topic, then, maybe we'll do that too. But, yeah, if you have any suggestions of any topics that you'd like me to talk about, then definitely shoot me a message, or you can feel free to leave me a comment on here, because I am up for suggestions. Anyway, so along with my giant comfort zone plunge of death, the friggin' I have the word in my head. The water slide of death is what I called it. Water slide of death. Whew. I have also researched kind of 7 ways to break out of your comfort zone. And it was a longer list, but I kind of broke it down to the ones that I know that either I have done in the past or I still struggle with. So I would like to share those with you. The first way is to take nothing for granted. So most people find their lessons or find what they learn from is from suffering. You learn from suffering. And it's harder to be complacent about things when you avoid taking things for granted. So whether it's in your marriage, your business, your health, whatever it is that you feel like you're in a comfort zone of, don't take it for granted. If you're complacent about these things and you take them for granted, then you don't suffer and you don't learn. So unfortunately, you have to go through a little bit of pain to learn and grow. Another one is switching up your routine. I know we talk about a morning routine and evening routine. It doesn't have to be the exact same every day. It could be like I go on my elliptical. It could be I go backwards sometimes for 10 minutes. That's switching up a routine. Or I change my time, or I change what I have for breakfast, or I change my meditation, or, little things. But they're talking about if you take a different route to work, like a different commute. You never know what you might end up with or where you might end up or whatever. Yesterday, we took a different way home from Edmonton because I didn't want to go through Edmonton because we're in Leduc. We're on the south side of Edmonton. So instead of going like straight up to Edmonton and then around Edmonton and then west, I just basically went from Leduc, went west and then north. And it was such a beautiful drive. Like the trees were beautiful and just like the scenery on the side of the highway was so beautiful. It was just something that you just appreciate, right? Little shakeups in your routine can lead to meeting new people, seeing new things, seeing things from a different perspective can change everything about what you think about this or that or the other thing. You just never know when something might be an idea might happen or this trigger or that trigger. So just switch up your routine a little bit every day or every couple days. Just push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. Here, comfort zone. A little bit. Moving towards your fears. So this one I definitely have a hand in talking about because of this weekend, because holy man, when I stood there and I looked at these obstacles and I'm just like slowly moving towards them, in the 5K, you could see those slides, the water slides of death or whatever I called them. They're close to the end. They're like at the 4.5K mark, somewhere in there. Anyway, so they're fairly close to the end. So as we're like coming up to them and I'm just like, oh my God, no. Like from afar, they don't look so tall. But when you're standing next to them, you're like, you want me to go up there? Are you sure? Because that's really high. How do you get down? Because going up isn't the problem. It's coming down. So moving towards your fears, leaning into the things that have made me afraid in the past, whether it's heights or this business or anything, just leaning into it have been the best decisions that I've ever made. Getting married was a pretty big, like, I didn't want to screw up a marriage. Like I'm a product of I'm a child of divorce. Like my parents divorced when I was 5 years old. I didn't want to do a repeat of what my parents had done. So getting married was a huge fear of mine because I didn't want to fail. You know, I don't want to fail marriage, but if you work towards it and you work into it and you just lean into these fears, then I promise you they're the best decisions ever. Starting conversations with strangers. This is something that I have done for years. When I moved from home, when I was 20 years old, I moved from my parents' place out, not really in the boonies, but somewhat in the boonies, on a farm, had my horses in my backyard, everything, to Calgary, Alberta, to a basement suite, really, really close to downtown. So a little bit of a culture shock there. The first weekend I was there, I moved like the week before school started. So I had like almost a whole week to just like kind of acclimatize to myself to my area, do some walks and stuff. And the first weekend that I was there, it rained. And I'm like, sweet, I love rain. I put on my rubber boots and I went outside and splashed in puddles. I'm like a kid when it comes to this stuff. I'm like splashing in puddles. And I ended up walking downtown and I was at a bus stop. And I like splashing in a puddle, and this lady's kind of looking at me like, okay, well, she's a grown woman splashing in puddles. Okay, whatever. I was 20. And I'm like, hey, good morning or good afternoon, whatever. I can't remember. I'm like, hey, what's that building there? Is it a library or is it a government building? Because it was like this big parliamentary looking building. She's like, I think that's the library. I'm like, awesome. Thanks for letting me know. I'm like, have a great day. And she's just like dumbfounded that I would talk to her and like splashing in puddles and being so friendly. Like, I don't know what it's like normally in cities, but apparently that's not it. And then even this weekend, I was just like high-fiving people I didn't even know, giving people hugs, like, awesome, you did great, blah, blah, blah. Like, to me, I feed off that kind of energy. And if I can give it out, then I get it back, right? So having conversations with strangers is a good way to overcome your shyness. Even if you get shut down a little bit, you just wish them a great day and move on. And you can learn amazing things about the world and the people in it. You don't have to be in your bubble all the time. Number 5, agree to something you wouldn't normally consider. Even if it doesn't work out, it's still a learning experience. Like being part of the run this weekend is not something I would have agreed to a couple years ago, a few years ago, even a year ago. I've been like, 5K run? Are you kidding me? No, never. But stepping out of my comfort zone more and more, doing these videos and doing this business and everything, and I'm just like, yeah, I could do it. I could do a 5K run. Sure, why not? And honestly, I didn't run the whole thing, but I ran a decent chunk of it and did all the obstacles and stuff. So I was in it to win it, right? So agreeing to something that you would normally consider definitely will push you out of your comfort zone. Number 6, get in front of the camera. I know with our business, video is huge. It's not only about go lives, but it's about just doing videos that give value, right? And if you can't be comfortable talking to yourself in a camera, you're not sure what the audience is looking like back there, but there's an audience there. Hey guys, you're my audience. Even if you don't have an audience, just make a video. I did a challenge just over a year ago, last June. I did a challenge. It was supposed to be like a 90-day challenge, but it ended up being like a 30-some day challenge of doing something every day that you're not comfortable with. And mine was video. And that's why I can do this. Like, doing videos comes so easy to me now. So do it every day for how many ever days, 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days, whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable with it. Because guess what? You've pushed your comfort zone out just a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And that's what matters. Once your comfort zone starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, you'll have problems finding things that push you out of your comfort zone, that make you feel uncomfortable. And that's a good thing, because that means you're just more of a well-rounded person. The last thing is to keep, I wasn't going to include this because I was like, we talk about goals all the time, but keep a list of growth goals. So not just goals, I want to do this by this day. Growth goals. I want to do a video a day for 30 days. That's a pretty damn good goal. What about doing public speaking? If you want to get up on stage one day and be, hey Karen, thanks for popping on, girl. I'm almost done, but you can definitely watch the replay. I talked about my experience this weekend, so so growth goals, like what do you want to do? What are these things that you want to do to accomplish it? So if you want to be a public speaker, if you want to be an influencer, if you want to do things that make you feel uncomfortable, you need a step-by-steps, like different things that you're going to do on a regular basis, or even just things that you know you want to accomplish one day. Like for me, I'm going to get into politics, and that's something that I've never thought that I would ever do in my life until about last fall. I was like, no, politics, not me. No way. I'm not that person. But guess what? I am. So I've got a list of goals for that. I've got a list of goals for, my business. I've got a list of goals for my family and my personal life, like that will push me out of my comfort zone. And you have to keep it handy. You have to write them down, just like with every other goal that you have in your life. Write them down, keep the list handy and visible, like put it on the wall somewhere, or on your fridge, or on your phone, or somewhere that you can see it every day. You can read it every day. You can do, so they're in your mind. What? Okay, well, give me like 2 seconds here. I'm almost done. Sorry, my husband needs to go tend to horses. But I will, but yeah, keep your list of goals visible so you can see it every day and read it every day. It's like anything, if you're like journaling every day, I keep mine by my bed so I can read them every day. I can like write new stuff out every day. I can add to it. I can cross stuff off. Like the 5K run, crossed off. Like that was a huge goal. Where am I hanging my foam run medal? I don't know, but I happen to have it here in my bag. Oh, and my number. That's like, this used to be black with white writing. Yep. And my medal is here. Yay. I don't know where I'm going to hang it yet. Hey Malik, thanks for popping on. And thanks for following me on Facebook. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to hang it yet. But I got to find somewhere. I think maybe upstairs, like in my room, like in my bedroom, or maybe in my bathroom where I could see it every day. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. I'll just wear it. Yeah, I'll just wear it every day. Like, no big deal. I did this. Yep, no big deal. So anyways, so those are my 7 ways to break out of your comfort zone. I definitely shared some of the ways that I did it this weekend. I hope that you guys can find ways. If you have a way that you break out of your comfort zone on a regular basis, wear it all day. Yeah. Then drop it in the chat or send me a message. I would love to hear how you break out of your comfort zone on a regular basis. But I have to go tend to my children because we got horses that just showed up. So I will talk to you guys next week. My Monday morning motivation with Pam, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, right here. I will talk to you next week. Love and appreciate you all. Bye.